So Paisley and I just replaced the filter. And she's on a mission collecting all of the fluids right now. Right now I'm pulling apart the clutch stack to mount it so that I can check compression. By hand, it feels good. Me and her brother Vinny couldn't turn it over by hand. Individually, it took both of us, one on the front, one on the back, versus the other engine, which I could turn over by hand from the crank. Carbon Kevlar XD plate. These might be the most crucial part of the swap. These are shims from i5, no longer available. Nothing Lee stock used to sell them as well, but I think the solution to go to now is a Mark 7 slave cylinder, which has a puck on the face. I have one over in a box over there. I'll show you in a minute. But these go behind the slave, so to bring it closer to the dual mass fly or the single mass flywheel setup. I believe it's slightly thinner, and due to that, there are some issues with the clutch completely allowing the disc to release. And so doing this shims it closer to the slave cylinder, allowing for the complete throw of the, shims it closer to the clutch pack, allowing for the complete disengagement of the slave cylinder without hyperextension, which is a really common problem with these swaps if you don't use one of these or a Mark 7 slave. Also note, I'm using a new OEM Lux slave. The Southbend kit itself came with one also. However, I noticed it often be that with slave cylinders provided by kits, the bearings are pre-worn or something that may be the case. So I'll save this one for, I guess, if I need it. And there's also another slave cylinder. And I bought a metal slave cylinder at one point. And this trans came with one, and the other trans came with one. And I ended up with another one somewhere in between. There's a bunch of them. Slave shimmed, clutch on. Time to get them together and check compression. That's got to be like the most official looking thing so far. It looks fucking huge on it compared to the other one. There's the O2Q on the 2.5. And here's the OA4. Looks fucking tiny compared to it. Little itty bitty case. Big briefcase. Crank pulley is on. Trans is on. Clutch is on. Starter's on. Spark plugs are pulled. The coil packs are just in the holes. I'm going to do a compression test in a second, and I'll get results. I wish I just got this. It was awesome, but I went and jumped the starter, and I forgot I had all the coil packs in, and they all just shot out onto the fucking ground. It's got compression for sure. I'm going to test it now. I ran a compression test on the engine last night, and I got about 140 PSI on all cylinders, well, 140, 150, except for the closest to the transmission, which I think is cylinder 5 or cylinder 1. I'm unsure. I gotta do some more reading, because some people claim it's cylinder 5 and other people claim it's cylinder 1, but I'm pretty sure cylinder 1 is closest to the passenger side. But anyway, so cylinder 1 or 5, whichever it is, read out it's like 100 or 90 PSI versus all the others that were 150, 140. So I'm gonna go get some Berryman V12 fuel injector cleaner, carbon cleaner, whatever the fuck it is. Pour that shit in the cylinders. Let it sit there for a while. A day. And I'm hoping for a stuck ring. No reason that a 100,000 mile engine should have bad compression. When I did a wet test on all 5 cylinders, the other 4 jumped up 200 PSI. And the one jumped up to 150 PSI. Almost 160. So I'm leaning on rings for sure. It's not leaking anything. Pressure held. So I'm gonna go see if I can do something to free up that bad ring land. Probably just carbon buildup or something. The inlet ports on the head are pretty nasty. So I'm gonna guess that a lot of short runs, just a lot of heat, short runs, causing this degree of buildup, not really being fed the beans to clean it out per se. I also got to remove a shim. So there's 2 of these on each side of the flex plate. One on each side of the flex plate, I should say. And I left one inside of the transmission behind the flywheel. I'm going to pull it off and remove that after talking to a number of people and looking at a number of videos. I really should have just pulled the transmission and the clutch and flywheel off that engine over there. But I was lazy. You fuck up sometimes. So I'm going to remove that, put it back together, but I'm going to paint the engine too. I picked up some paint. As I said earlier, I got this nice, this is this Detroit diesel Alpine green. And some gunk foam bullshit. And take a wire wheel to it. Yep. This is off again. Now, get the pressure plate, flywheel off to remove the shim.
All the way back to here, all for this pesky, stupid fucking shim. Fuck that thing.
Flywheel retorqued to 65 foot-pounds. Clutch is back together and torqued. Now I need to decide green or gold. I think I'm gonna paint the transmission gold and leave the shift levers and whatnot green. It seems like a lot of work to paint the engine right now. I'd have to remove the oil cooler. I do have a gasket for it all. Well, the oil filter housing in general with the oil cooler. I do have a gasket I bought in the event that I had to do that. I don't know if I really want to go about that route, but I think I will paint the transmission green just because you won't be able to really see the engine. The transmission will be right out in the open. Valve cover is off and oh my god, it's so clean. The billet valve cover from the other engine finally. I'm going to wipe it down on the inside. Not too bad. But new gasket for the valve cover. All primed again. I'm in debate if I paint the engine block or not. You really won't see it. I'm gonna go with gold on the transmission and I'll paint the mount, the green. If I can convince myself to wire wheel down the engine and pull off the accessory components and whatnot, I'll paint the engine green. Like I said, it really won't be noticeable though. Might take the intake off and paint that green though. Whee! It ain't a mirror finish, but it's pretty good. I bet if I wiped off all this fucking whatever. So I painted the whatever you want to call it, mount bracket, and I really like this color. It's awesome. Had to dig out some custom-made bits. This is a ball-ended Allen key that I cut off to the right length, welded into a 1/4-inch drive 5mm socket to get that dumb fucking thing. Had to dig out the other half of the custom tool, custom bent Allen key, patented John Booten. Just want to take a moment to acknowledge ports have never been cleaned and they're beautiful versus that other engine over there. Mind you, this one's got 213K on it, something like that. Ports are beautiful. Valve stems, you can tell that they've been cooking oil. And I suspect one of them to be leaking. Maybe on the exhaust side though, because these all look great. So I've got the Berryman's B12 down in the cylinders. I've poured it in each cylinder and dropped an old spark plug in. And this is one that I picked out of it. And man, look at all that grubby grime. Shit's working. I'll suck it out with a turkey baster in a little bit and then refill them before the end of the night. This is why you beat on your car and feed it the fucking beans. Alright, this is what short drives and low RPMs do to your intake valves. Alright, the fuel gets sprayed in and baked on over time because the engine heats and cools and heats and cools and heats and cools. And the high RPMs don't pull all of the atomized fuel into the inlet. So instead, it catches and it builds up over time. This one I've cleaned the most, but they're all fucking nasty. Prices, when we come over to the 200,000 mile engine, I have not cleaned anything. I don't think it ever got a carbon cleaning. Just good fuel. Once upon a time, a lot of VP fuel additive. And a lot of high RPMs. And that shit's fucking beautiful, at least on the intake side. I don't know what the exhaust side looks like. I imagine the seals are in pretty rough shape. But don't be afraid to give it the beans every now and then. And when you see that puff of black smoke come out the back, that's what it is. It's your good old carbon buildup, fuel shit. Also, look at that near finished look. Bam. Now you got your carbon cleaning, like, you know, your walnut blasting and all your fancy methods and whatnot. But I got the old can of gunk, and I just give it a good healthy dosing on the rag there and take it and put it over my finger, and I think this works pretty good. Just get all that fucking shit out of there. And it's raining outside right now, but like if you look, that's a lot better than that right there. When you look at all that fucking buildup, there's a whole fucking wall of it. Jeez, that's some fucking horsepower there. And I'm just trying to get, you know, the majority of it. I think, you know, good fuel, the ethanol and whatnot, will get rid of the most of that I can't get. But shit like that, that's gotta go. And look at that. You know, that's a whole lot better than it was. This is the next one. We got 2 more left to do. But that's alright, that's alright, that's alright. I just want to get most of that shit out of the inside of the inlets before I put the intake back on. The rest of it cleaned off when it, you know, just running it. And I'll clean the surface of this with the wire wheel and whatnot, but no! I finally just got around to draining the shit out of the cylinders after the first pass, and you can see on the ground that fucking brown shit. And so I filled it back up again. All the other cylinders actually drained down into the pan, surprisingly. Just this cylinder here, if you look, make it do a little soda dance. Fucking nasty. Haven't been too active on post last few hours, but I cleaned up the accessory bracket, got it mounted. This is all blurry. Cleaned up the accessories bracket, got all the accessories mounted and everything swapped over. Engine mounts on. The ports are a little cleaner. All that needs to go on now is the catch can, secondary injector block-off plates, and the intake, and the transmission. Wait for the transmission paint to cure a little more before I go and play with it. Maybe throw some more on before I go to bed. But I'm almost at a point for the end of the night. Getting there. It's a new day. So yesterday I filled up all the cylinders with this Berryman's B12 chem tool. It's like a fuel cleaner or whatever. And I use this handy device that I come together with to drain it out. And all your red, whatever the fuck color that is, that's all your shit that was in there. And going clear, it comes out looking like that. There's a little bit of oil in there, but it's separated. You can see the two. It works. There's definitely like larger particles in there too and whatnot. I'm gonna, I filled up the cylinders with the rest of the bottle. I got another one over there, but I left it open stupidly. So I don't know if there's water in it or whatever, but it smells fine. I don't know. It's $5. I can just go buy another bottle, but stuff works. Custom toolaging for this fucking bullshit. You gotta fucking, you ain't gonna reach nothing up in there. I fucking tried. I don't even remember how I did it. At some point in time I made up this thing, and I was pretty sure I used this, but apparently not. And then I found this fucking thing floating around, which is obviously the other half of it. And I was like, well, fucking, I built it for a reason. Well, fucking hell, it fits. Got the intake manifold on, and I got the vacuum pump off. The seal on the pump was failing, as they do always. So it was good to do it in time. But this is all it is. It's just a little pneumatic pump driven by the oil, and you can hear it sucking and pushing. Yummy. but all it does is create vacuum for the brake booster. But what I do instead is I just plumb it to the manifold like every other car. There we go. So 2 days of flushing the engine cylinders with this shit, Berryman's B12 Chem Tool, and this is what you get. Well, there might be very little oil in there from the oil filter, you know, a cup of it, but all the rest of it is this Berryman's B12 stuff that's been flushed through the cylinder and then pumped out with my little, well, it was a fucking squirt bottle and a fucking hose, but there you go. That's all the carbon buildup debris bullshit all flushed out. And I'm hoping that that ringland is a little more cleaned up, and the oil control ring in the cylinder here is able to do some oiling. My compression fixes itself. Gonna drain the oil out. I got to pull these studs out from this exhaust flange here, and then it's ready to go back in. The only other thing that I got to do is I got to pull the bushings out of the BFI Stage 1 mount so I can put my green Stage 2 mount rubber bushings in. So they're harder urethane. But plates are on for the SAI. Plates on for the vacuum pump. Short shifter's on. Metal cable brackets on. This is one of the issues with the 6-speed swap. It's not really an issue, but my solution is to get this metal cable bracket. There's not a bolt that I could find that's got an M10 or M8 stud on the back of it that goes through for you to fasten this one to. So I just got the metal bracket, and that ain't flexing under nothing. Got the manifold on, got the catch can on, got the catch can lines plumbed up, got the accessory bracket on, got the TTRS crank pulley on, got the Boost Bros lip pulley on, all the new tensioners and whatnot from this past fall. There's a new oil filter in there right now. I'm going to drain the oil. The oil filter should be fine. Yeah, it should be fine still. I just really put it in. I don't think I cranked it over with this Berryman stuff at all. So I'm going to flush the oil out. Refill it with the good old Shell Rotella. This stuff kicks ass. And then it's time to get it back in. So I've got all the shit drained out of the cylinders now. And I am draining all the oil out of it. And that was all brand new oil. Just, mind you. The camera's not doing a good job of it because it's a flash. Hold on. Got this little flashlight in the bottom of my drill. And you can see it's fucking black. That was all brand new oil. But it's all contaminated with the Berryman's B12. And you can kind of see all that shit. Which is good. It's awesome, you know. It's like a carbon cleaning on the inside of the engine. But, fingers crossed, this helps out with this whole compression issue on this cylinder. And I got good faith in it. I had an issue last year where the same cylinder actually, 5 or 1, whichever it is, had 90 psi and all the rest had 130. I think this one had 150 at the time, which is odd, within 10%, so whatever. But I ran a bunch of this shit through it. This VP Racing stuff. A couple of other people are putting it in their fuel. And I don't care about the octane boost and shit, but all the cleaners and whatnot in it, the fuel additives, it's pretty much just ethanol is what it smells like. It smells like just fucking whatever, but that's why we got clean ports. And it got rid of all that debris inside of the cylinder on the inside of the oil control ring, and fucking did us good. I gotta wrap this all up with the saran wrap. I got it sitting over there. That way I can take the time and rebuild it eventually. I would like to put rods and pistons in it pick up a forged crank. I used to have one in the blue car, but that's long gone. I got to get another forged crank. But I'll keep this around to do something with it. There's no point in getting rid of it. It's still got compression. You know, it just needs timing chains and valve seals and pistons and rings, and it should be good to go.
When I talk about the mounts and the poly, so I've just pulled this one apart, and I'll show you the one that's in the car as well, what's left of it. I left it in the car because I really don't need to move the base. But so there it is. I'm going to clean it off because it's kind of gross. But, hello. So BFI makes it nice. And here's another base that I can use, but I didn't want to use this one because this pin in the bottom is kind of wobbly now when it sits in there. But I'll save it. Maybe it's better than the other one. But so here are the softer mounts. You can see I can squeeze those. And here are the solid, I think they're either 85 or 95 A mounts. These are what I've been running in the Jetta. And these are the bee's knees. These are good, and I'll keep these around for spares because they don't appear to have anything wrong with them. I mean, they're worn, but they're not bad. They're still good. They're just softer. But I'm going to, it's pretty straightforward. They just go in between like that. They sandwich together, and then ba-bam. Here's the bolt, goes to the top. All good. So this is the problem I kept having with the 5-speed one. This was a used mount that I got from somebody, and as you can see, it was fucking chewed right into it, and I had to tighten and over tighten and tighten and retighten these over and over and over again. This one, well, the bolts are in it, but there's no contact wear or any of that chafage or fucking bullshit. Like they've been shifting and moving. Those were torqued right and used right and well, or for not very long. But so I'm gonna reassemble that with these and get it all back together and get some oil in it. It's still dripping, kind of slow, periodic drips, which is good. I think I have some more oil that I can pour through it just to kind of try to flush out the last bits of bullshit that's in there. Before I fill it up with the Rotella. But it looks like I'll be ready to put it back in the bay tonight, if I don't put it back in the bay tonight. So I ran a bunch of 540 through it. Brand new oil, call that fucking waste, whatever. But and then I just barely flushed it out with maybe a cup of 520. And the first bit of it to run out of it was dack. But now it's clearing up and it looks pretty good. I think we're about ready to put some good oil back in it. Just wait for that to finish dripping. Looks like it's slowing down right now. I almost forgot to install the oil pressure gauge, the sender for the gauge that's on the dash. There's a little threaded port on the side of the cylinder head. A lot of folks like to feed a turbo from there. I was going to put the gauge of the sender down. I was just going to tee it in line with where it reads off. So there's a little journal inside of there that goes from the pickup from the oil filter housing here. Comes up, goes through, and then goes to this little fucking sender right here. I'm just going to tee into that, but the way this is and the way the wiring is in the bay, I would have to unwrap it a whole lot. I do have a little M10 to fucking dash 4 braided line bit that I could do, but it'd be a pain in the ass. So I'm just going to go and put it back where it was over here, and when I boost the car, it'll be alright, because I'll be able to know that I got oil pressure to the turbo. Now, I just want to say, there's companies out there, and I won't say any names, APR, that'll charge you $200 for a metal bracket that's just got holes drilled out in the middle. I paid $40 for this bracket. I think it was $35 actually. And these bushings are $15 for a set of 6 of them. Food for thought if you're ever into doing this. So I just pulled the bucket out from underneath it. And this was a cleanish bucket. You know, look at all that shit that's in there now. Ew. Look at all that. And that's from the Berryman's B12. And that was clean oil, too. That was brand new oil out of the fucking... That, right there. The Mobile. And fucking... Now it's orange, brown, fucking black shit. I'm gonna fill it up now with the good shit. And get it ready to go back in the car. I got a few hoses that I gotta pull off the other engine over there for the coolant. And I think that's it, really. I've got really high hopes for this stuff, honestly, because like, that's the face of the piston now. And you can see that shit. And it's clean. There's a little bit of fluid and shit still in there I gotta get out. I'm just gonna do a couple cranks of the engine and push it out, honestly, but that's just fucking clean. It ain't as great, but it's definitely higher than it was. So after testing them all, my battery died, and I almost think that my battery just wasn't cranking fast enough to pull more air in for the next compression past 120, because they all just kept reading 120 and the batteries but I had 150 on all the rest of them, so I'm thinking compression is good. So I was having like I was geeking out in my head all day long that I was worrying that so let me start from the beginning. So the stuff that I use, the Berryman's B12, it's a solvent. It's a fucking super awesome solvent. And I should have realized that because I had tape that was sitting on the manifold flange that was back here, just blocking it off. And like over time, it would leak through from making its way through the seals and whatnot. And when I pumped the engine eventually, I cranked it over and whatnot, and it pushed it all out through the exhaust. And there's a piece of tape over here. It's all eaten up and fucking nasty. This right here, where the solvent was eating it. I should have realized that yesterday. It had low compression yesterday after I tested it, after I washed it all out, because there's no oil on the cylinder. I'm lucky that I stopped when I did, because if I just kept cranking and cranking and cranking, it would have worn right through them fucking rings. That's fine, 130, 140, somewhere in there. And who knows how accurate this Harbor Freight gauge is. It might even go up a little bit more if I fucking jump it again. We'll try. Oh, and now we're at almost 150. She just needed some fucking oil. She's got great compression, and then that's on the cylinder that was missing. That's on what we got 90. So Berryman's B12 and lubricants, right? And I'm not saying pour oil in your cylinder because that's a wet test, and like obviously something was wrong. This is what we should have had cylinder compression at before. This is what the wet test yielded before I did the Berryman's B12. Sorry, I'm like frantic about this. I'm super ecstatic because fucking we gained almost 60 PSI of compression out of this fucking cylinder wash and whatnot. And I'm super excited to test the rest of them. This engine is actually super healthy. Very, very stoked. So like in a less razzled sentence, right? So I washed out all of the gunk that was in all the cylinders, all of the carbon deposits and whatnot. I can show you that. It's over in a bucket over here. I drained it out with a little siphon thing I made, and this is all, that's all the shit. And this is all the oil that I flushed out of it. This was brand new oil that's now black. Brand new oil. And that's from all that wash, that solution making its way through and cleaning up all that shit. It's a solvent. It's a killer solvent. And so it did a really good job of what it was doing too. But anyway, so after that all washed out, I forgot to relubricate the cylinders, basically. And all I did was I took the tiniest amount of fluid, 0.3 milliliters, fucking squirted it in there just enough to coat the walls and go around in the oiling ring in the piston. I fixed it. It's good. It's great. Where's Pay?